Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we're we're still deep into the 70s, guys, because man, we're cleaning it all up. We're talking about Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry from 1973, 73,
Mm,
74. Um,
It is 74.
yeah, 74. I mean, this is an interesting movie. We've been waiting to kind of keep going down this road. We've talked about stuff like Race with the Devil, and especially for you guys on our Patreon, we talked about Duel, and we're going to be continuing to do this type of stuff for a little while. Anyways, the car, it's been some fun stuff. Um, let's get a quick take on this, and also for anyone that's in the chat with us, it looks like Neil's in the chat with us right now, and we'll give people another minute to jump in if they choose to do so. We're going to talk about this movie, and we're going to stay away from the major spoilers. So I just want to say that right now, especially for you guys in the chat, we're staying away from major spoilers. And obviously, if you've seen the movie, that's great, but don't put anything in the live chat that would spoil it for people that haven't, because I'm sure there are a lot of people that have not seen this movie, because I hadn't seen this movie before. Now I had heard
right.
of it,
Mm.
but I'd never had seen it. So we got Blucka, my man Blucka's in the chat too, saying
Hey.
hello. What's going on? How you doing? And there's Dan. Hey everyone, I have a blue wrench and I'm drunk with power. Yeah. Thanks so much,
Nice.
Dan. I appreciate that. And also Neil, I was trying to get you in there too, but it wasn't letting me set it up. I got to keep working on that. But definitely thank you guys for taking that as something to help us out with in the live chats. So real quick, let's get a quick take. Kill, we'll start with you, and then Coriander. We'll get our intro going, and then we'll get through this thing.
Man, look, if you're a fan of cars, muscle cars like me and Coriander,
Yeah.
man,
And
look,
me, you always say I love muscle
I
cars
love
too,
yeah,
how you
man.
do that.
Come
but
on,
I think
was
me and
watching Dukes of
Coriander
Hazzard
a
before
little.
you.
Yeah. But that's a TV show. I think me and Coriander, we
All
we
right,
bonded
all
on the
right,
muscle
We
car
feel
front
it.
all
here.
right.
Yes.
Yeah,
We can
okay,
But no,
feel how, yeah. Anyway,
yeah.
if
go
you're a
ahead.
fan of practical stunts, real men and women driving the vehicles, muscle
Yeah.
cars. I
Hmm.
mean, or if you're just a fan of like that good old cat and mouse, this movie was really, really awesome. And of course, it's Peter
Yeah,
Fonda. Any movie where
right,
he's
Right.
on a motorcycle or driving a car, you know you're
right.
in for a
Yeah.
good time. So,
Absolutely, absolutely.
Hmm.
How about you, Coriander?
This was a fun movie.
Hmm.
To see Peter Fonda in a role like this, it's new for me because I had never
Yeah,
seen it, you know. So
yeah.
yeah, and I enjoyed his character, and yeah,
Hmm.
this was a really good movie.
Yeah, this was so different than his role in Race with the Devil, which we talked about some
Yeah,
weeks
it
ago.
was.
You know what I'm saying? But that's cool though.
Yeah,
I love that. And
right.
Peter Fonda was having a hell of a time with this movie, and he even talked about
Yeah.
how the movie made a shit ton of money and yada yada yada, made more money than a movie than any Dennis Hopper movie, and he Peter Fonda is awesome. You
Oh
know what I
man.
mean? But I think it was a fun movie. It was definitely a product of his time, you know. And again, and I will put you in this with me, Kill, because we did both love watching these types of shows and movies when we were kids. Vehicle Mayhem is just it's just some awesome
Mm,
stuff with the practical, obviously practical because this is 74 with the stunt work and everything. People
yeah.
that will never get the credit that they deserved for doing real life stunt work and so forth. So,
Hmm.
anyways, we're going to take a second to finish getting set up. Miss Carter just jumped into the chat. What's going on? Saying hey to the
Hello.
crew. Uh,
hey,
Neil saying he hadn't seen this one. I like muscle cars, so I'll probably give this one a watch.
Ooh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yes, you
yeah,
need to check this out.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Hmm.
All right, so we'll finish getting set up. So for you guys in the chat, for you guys watching the replay, sit back, relax. You know what time it is. All right. Okay, let's get down to brass tacks. Man, these guys, you could tell they were having fun with this friggin' movie, and that was really
Right?
awesome. It really, really was. Um, and we also have Blucka was saying, was this better than Race with the Devil? Well, I think there are two different types of
They're,
movies. Number one,
they are.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
They're
you guys
both
can answer
really
that if you want.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
too different for me to say.
Yeah.
All
Same.
right. Yeah, I agree with that. Seriously. Let's see. Miss Carter saying, I've heard of this, but I've never seen it. All right. We're gonna look for it on
Ooh,
Prime. All right.
yeah, check it
Mhm.
out. Yeah.
Absolutely. Bluck is saying easily the best intro I've seen. You got my thumbs up. Thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot. Dan was saying, good cast. Kenneth E. Toby Donahue was in The Thing from Another World from 1951. Yeah, the cast was really good, and they were colorful characters. You know, that's what really drew me in right from the beginning. Kill, I'll start with you because you had never seen this as well. What were you
Right.
thinking at the beginning when this thing was starting off?
Well, it was very surprising the beginning. I was like, oh, okay, Peter Fonda's kind of a bad guy. You know,
Right?
Kind of a sheepdog. Yeah.
kind of a thief, kind of
Yes.
threatening violence. Like, oh, okay,
Yes.
but I
Yes.
gotta say, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit. He
Yeah.
was smooth with it, especially when he goes into the supermarket.
Yes.
He's just
Yes.
smiling that big old Peter Fonda smile, like, hey,
Yeah.
here you go, Chief, fill it up.
Yeah.
Don't crush the tomatoes. And I'm just
Yes.
like, wow. But it was very interesting because instead of it just being, them just, we want to outrun cops or whatever, there's a reason for it, and there's a deeper motivation for why they're pulling the heist that you find out
Mhm.
later on, which
Mm.
was like, okay, interesting. So it makes the stakes a little bit more higher because now you kind of see why they're doing things. But
Yeah. Yeah.
the
There was
start
a
was
little bit of that.
awesome to me.
Yeah. And I mean, and shout out to your boy Roddy McDowell, because
Yeah.
when I heard that he was in this, I was expecting him to be in it a little bit more, but it was a very small part, but obviously integral to the beginning because you've got this big kidnapping plot that you saw from Larry, played by Peter Fonda, and Deke, played by
Deke.
Adam Rourke. Deke, I liked Deke, man, and
I
Deke,
like
Deke,
Deke.
Deke was the one that went into the house, and
He was the
Yeah.
quiet one.
he was the quiet one, but he wasn't so quiet in this because
Yeah.
he's the one that kidnapped the wife of Roddy McDowell. But Coriander, for
Mhm.
you, first time seeing this and so forth, what were you thinking in the beginning? How they were shaping up this story?
I mean, I liked how it began because,
Hmm.
you had, Larry coming out. Well, Mary and Larry had like a one night stand, and
Hmm.
he's leaving her on the fly, and trying
Right?
to sneak out of there, and his buddy picks him
Yeah.
up. And then they
Yes.
instantly do that into this heist that they're trying to pull off. And
Hmm.
yeah, I loved how it started out too. It was really good. And yeah, Peter Fonda just acts like, it's nothing big, just I'm going, up to see the manager, no big
Hmm.
deal. And he played it so well. And
He
yeah,
did.
it was really good.
He did, man. And I will say that the three, obviously, I mean, the title is just Dirty Mary Crazy Larry, but it should be Dirty Mary Crazy Larry and Deke,
Deke.
because these three, they're the ones. They're the ones with the
Yeah.
chemistry, and so she's just along for the ride. You know, she knows
Mhm.
that they obviously committed a robbery, and I think she's just the type of person that's lonely and is just looking for some type of excitement. She doesn't have anyone. You could just tell that. But I will say it was interesting. And when you talk about Susan George, who a lot of people might know, well, they may not know because it's an older movie, but things like Straw Dogs,
Yeah,
she
that was
was
really good too.
played. That was a good one. We'll have to do that one too. She was played off kind of like a bimbo, but she had some really smart moments where she pulled fast ones on Deke and Larry. And
Yes, she did.
I thought that was kind of cool because that kind of gave
Mhm.
her, a little bit of character, in other words. Like she wasn't just a dumb blonde bimbo, you know what I mean? What'd you think about that, Kill? And obviously once they start getting on the road and we start to see how they interact with each other, frustrating each other, getting on each other's nerves. Some funny stuff, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it was entertaining, with Deke and
Hmm.
Larry, but once Mary gets into the mix, she is. I loved every scene that she was in because she kind of felt like that annoying little sister.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she held her own. She
She
did what she
did.
had to do, and like you said, Knight, she was smart. She
Hmm.
outsmarted them. almost every time. Every time they
Right?
thought they were going to get the drop on her or leave her, or like
Yes.
she threw keys outside of the car,
Yes.
and
Yes. Yes.
that's early on. That scene
Hmm.
where he just he commits the heist. He gets back to his muscle car. She's in there like you showed, and she's like,
Yeah.
"Hey,"
Hey,
and
asshole. Yeah.
she is so smart that she's like, "Hey, you're gonna talk to me," and she throws these keys out, and
That's
then she
right.
starts the car. She could have got away with
Yes,
the
she could have.
money, with the car right there, but she didn't.
Yes, yes,
You
because she
know,
was, yeah, and she even said
she's
that,
bored.
yes,
She's
and
bored.
it,
I don't think she was lonely. I think she was just bored.
good point. Yeah, I agree because she even
She,
said it down the road to
yeah,
Deke. She said it's not about the money. You know what I mean? When she was telling him, "Hey, we
she's a
could just,"
drifter.
yes,
She hangs on to people for a little bit and then moves on.
yep, yep, she is very much like a drifter. Dan was saying it's for rent on YouTube as well, so that's cool to know too. But again, this was really fun. But Coriander, how about you? What did you think of like the interplay between the three of them? Because again, they had some really
Yeah.
funny scenes, and again,
Killian
Deke.
said it.
Okay.
Yeah. With the whole brother and sister thing. And
Mm-hmm.
I loved how he started calling her Dingleberry because she mentioned how
Yes.
there was like no toilet paper in one scene. And
Right.
yeah, I thought
Yeah,
the
they're
chemistry
calling each
between
other
all three of
names.
them. Yes. I thought it was great. Yeah,
Right.
it was good.
Well, yeah, and of course now, okay, so you have all this going on, and they're doing their thing. And again, Peter Fonda, I think, obviously in the lead role was absolutely just fantastic. He was he's a charismatic actor, so there's no doubt about that. But then you
Hmm.
got Vic Morrow playing Everett, the cop who's after them, and he had some really good scenes too. And Kill, you made up a great point. I'll pass it on to you. But you definitely kind of got almost like Smokey and the Bandit type of vibes going
Yeah.
in this, right?
Yeah,
I
well, yeah,
mean,
and well, what I liked about him also is he said, "I don't wear a badge, I don't wear a gun.
yeah,
You can save that for the rest of them yahoos. I don't need all
right,
that."
right, right,
and,
right.
and yeah, like you said with the Smokey and the Bandit, he was a very authoritative, I guess antagonist
Hmm.
to our protagonist in Larry.
Right. Hmm.
And once he really gets into the mix, the cat and mouse really begins. And I guess what I liked about him, and we see this all too much nowadays, he's the guy in the office. He's the guy
Yeah.
in the war room. But
Hmm.
unlike nowadays, where it's like, oh, Morgan Freeman is just in this one scene where he's giving orders, from a
Hmm.
war room or whatever, he's like, I'm going out there myself to
Hmm.
get this Yahoo. So
Yes.
it was a really cool kind of relationship where very early on he started to take, just this drifter race car guy like very serious. Like, okay,
Hmm.
I'm making it my mission to catch you guys.
Yeah.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. He was obsessed. You
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like his big mission. And Coriander, look at all these friggin' cars, man. There were
I
like
know.
20
They were
cop
in
cars,
sync,
right?
right? I wonder
Trying to
how
go
many
after him.
it took to do that.
Right? Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. But like we alluded to earlier, they tried to ditch Mary a couple times, and I think part of it was because they felt like she was dead weight, but also was going to make this so much more complicated than it needed to be because they had a specific plan. They knew exactly the amount of time it was going to take to do what they needed to do to get where they needed to get. Especially the big part was getting to the second car. So Kill, this was definitely one of those types of movies, kind of like what you talk about, getting from point A to point B. We gotta follow a plan. But Coriander, there were a couple moments. I just want to throw this out to you, where when they tried to ditch Mary, when they run into the fence because she gets really upset, and then her and Peter Fonda have that scene where they're basically yelling at each other. It actually
Yeah.
was kind of a little emotional. What did you think of scenes like this between them?
Yeah, because this girl, I think she really likes Larry. So the
Yeah,
fact that he treats her like this, yeah, she obviously doesn't like it. And,
yeah,
she's one of these girls that try to pretend like, well, I'm a tough girl. what you say, you know, or how you feel, it doesn't affect me. And
Right,
but you can
right.
see that it does. And you
Yeah,
know,
it does. I mean,
those
look
were, you
her
know,
look at her
it
eyes,
made,
man. That was yeah.
yeah, it just
Mhm.
made these two seem more real. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
yeah.
That you know what? That I couldn't have said that any better. You're so right. It really did. It made them feel more real, and like they were trying to ditch her, but of course, Deke when they damaged the car, Deke was like, "Well, we need her to guide the wheel, and you need to be
Yeah.
under the car with me." And of course, you had that funny moment where she turned the wheel too hard, and it came down on them, and she thought that they were dead. And of course, they're sitting there just looking at each other. So it's just funny little scenes like that. But all this is
Mhm.
happening, Kill. You've got Everett, who's he's literally in a fight with everyone at the police station. Look at these people; they're looking at him like, "What are you doing, guy?" Because he's obsessed with capturing Mary and Larry. And even his superior is telling them, "Don't do this, don't do that, don't go out there, don't take this personal." What were you thinking at this part of the movie? Because we're getting to that point where he's gonna, I don't want to jump ahead, but he's gonna basically unload the whole force trying to find Larry and Mary in their car.
Well, eh, like I said earlier, this was my first time watching this, so
Hmm.
I guess I was wondering, are they going to explain why he's taking it this serious? I mean, I know
Yeah.
he's an officer,
Hmm.
but they didn't really go too deep into it, and I was fine with that. But
Yes.
he really just took it like, okay, I need to catch this guy regardless of what my superior wants me to do. And
Right.
he even had a kind of back and forth with his superior where he was like saying to him, well, you really don't want us to get the numbers, you don't want us to get this guy because you're trying to
Yeah.
build your perfect, your perfect unit
Hmm.
of cars
Police
and
cars.
officers. Yeah.
Hmm.
And the guy was like, you know what, since you're so like, going crazy about this guy, I want you to catch him, but it's not going to make you feel younger or whatever.
Right.
So it's just kind of
I
like,
like
okay,
that.
so they kind of explained it a little bit there.
Hmm. Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, look, once again, I hate to keep bringing up Smokey and the Bandit, but he
Right.
reminded me a lot of Buford T. Justice,
Yes, absolutely.
because this guy starts to call in other precincts. He calls all of his guys, like set up these
Hmm.
roadblocks, close that roadblock, start this
Yeah.
one.
He
If
had
you're in
like
a lookout
8,000
tower,
roadblocks.
yeah, he was like, I want every eye. He was like your boy from The
Tommy
Fugitive.
Lee Jones. Yeah, I
Yep,
knew
yep.
you were
I
gonna
want,
say that. Every
yeah,
doghouse, outhouse, hen house.
hen house, whorehouse, everyone.
Tommy Lee Jones,
Tommy
man.
Lee. But
Good for you, man.
yeah, like, so now I'm kind of watching this and I'm just like, all right, I'm kind of rooting for the cops a little bit, just a little
Right.
bit,
Hmm.
because the one thing that is really interesting about this movie, unlike something that depending on your outlook of it might be a little inferior, like Fast and Furious or stuff like that.
Hmm.
Larry is not the nicest guy. He
Right.
really is not.
Hmm.
And he's a little cold to the point where, he has this one line. He's like, hey, in racing, I can't look behind me and see if the guy that I just, kind of had to nudge out of the way is
No.
spun out and if
Yeah.
he's okay or not. I got to keep looking
Right.
forward.
Yeah.
Whereas as the movie goes on, Mary shows another side of her, and Deke to me is like
Hmm.
the heart,
Right.
because he's really kind of the go-between her just wanting all the action and stuff,
Hmm.
and then Larry wanting just precision. I want this to go off
Right.
without a hitch. So
Hmm.
it really made me personally feel some sort of way about Larry. Like, do I root for this guy or do I not?
Hmm. Yeah.
And as far as the sheriff, he was very charismatic. I liked him a lot.
Yeah. He
Every scene that
was.
he was in, I also was like, man, this guy he's kind of cool, in an
Yeah.
extreme way.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Dan was making a good point too. He said they destroyed some cars in this for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah, they
Yes,
Yes,
did.
they did.
indeed.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
n- Neil saying nobody, and I mean nobody, makes Sheriff Buford T. Justice look like a possum's bear. Smokey and the
Yes.
Bandit, man. But
Classic.
Coriander, one of my favorite scenes, man, because I love these types of things. I love the car stunts and stuff like that. But when we got to that bridge, that was a cool
Yeah.
scene. What did you think about that scene? And then, of course, when they finally get that Dodge Charger, that '69 Dodge Charger.
Yeah, man. I mean, this was
Look
like
at
you said
that.
when we were watching this, right? That this reminded you of Happy Birthday to Me, which it does. You know,
Yes.
those guys are all trying to jump the bridge as it's,
Hmm.
rising. And yeah, this is a really good scene. And you can just see that, Larry, he can drive. I mean,
Yeah,
it
he
doesn't
can.
matter what situation he's in or how fast he's going. He
Hmm.
always manages to keep it in control. So
That's right.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's good.
he's good.
He's got some talent.
He
And
does,
once they
man. I mean,
got, yeah, go ahead.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, but once they got to the Charger, yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
damn, that was really nice. It,
Right?
yeah, beautiful car. I'm like
Yeah.
stuttering over it. So yeah, it
Yep.
was great once they switched up cars and you really got to see him drive then. So yeah.
Yep. There's a name for people who don't use seatbelts. Stupid. That was a funny stuff. But yeah, that charger is badass, no doubt. And when they
Mhm.
get to it, as the viewer, I'm thinking, all right, now we're gonna be rocking and rolling. But of course, Everett, he gets a copter. So I'm thinking, wow, I mean, we're really setting up a nice finale at this point. A lot of things are converging, which is really, really cool. Real quick, too, in the chat, we've got Ben Grimm. What's up, Ben? Saying howdy. How you doing, man? Nice to
Hello.
see you. Nice to see you. Oh, and we got Darren. Darren's in the chat from the Slaughtered Lamb Movie Podcast. Saying evening, folks. What's going on, man? How you doing? Nice to
Hello.
have you. Nice to have you. Ben saying I bought a Smokey and the Bandit movie set. One of the movies was called Bandit, Bandit, Bandit.
Nice.
Nice, nice. Talking about, I guess the TV movie version of Smokey and the Bandit was just called Bandit, and there was one where someone steals Bandit, so Bandit, Bandit, Bandit.
Mm,
Nice.
right.
That Smokey and the Bandit is a classic movie. It really is, and we've talked a little bit
Mhm.
about that when we talked about some of our top tens of the different decades. But
Yep.
yeah, the car is badass. Kill. I mean,
Yeah.
look at this thing. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
it's just a beautiful car, man. But you have these chases that are starting to happen. And obviously at this point, and I already showed it, once Everett gets, the ability to be in the helicopter, he also knows that they're listening to the radio
Yeah.
because that's how they were one step ahead. So that was some cool stuff too. He's talking to Peter
Smart.
Fonda. Yeah, and he's like,
Mm.
"Hey, clown," and this and that, and they start like throwing jabs back and forth, which was kind of cool, man. They were like one upping each other while they were on the CBs. What do you think of some of that? And then, of course, a couple of the times when they had these roadblocks, like right here, you got friggin' 8 cop cars just waiting, waiting and waiting.
Yeah, yeah. Well, once again, once they started talking back on the CBs, on the radios, it
Mhm.
added another layer of the cat and mouse. Because
Yes.
Once again, Deke was my boy. He was like, "Don't
Yeah.
engage. You're gonna give it
Right. Right.
away
Right.
that we're listening." Like right now, they're
Yes.
speculating,
Hmm.
and like Larry held off as long as he could.
Yeah, he did.
But it was like burning at his soul. He was like, "Oh, I
Hmm.
gotta talk trash back to this guy."
Hmm. Yes.
So yeah, I thought that
Absolutely.
added a whole nother very, very cool layer. And one
Yeah.
thing also I want to interject. You said how the main sheriff got the helicopter, but one of his
Hmm.
deputies got a supercharged pursuit vehicle.
Yes.
Yes.
Mad
Let's
Yep.
not
Max
forget
car,
about
damn it.
that.
It almost
And,
felt like Mad Max, didn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Unlimited. Top end is unlimited.
And look, he still wasn't as good of a driver as Larry, but Larry kind of gave him props. Like, okay, this
Yeah.
sucker knows how to drive.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it kind of looked like Peter Fonda started like kind of licking his lips, like, okay, a challenge. I'm
Yes.
I'm here for it. I like this
Yes.
because he was
Yep.
just had that smile. It got bigger. He's like, let's see what you got.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
That's
know.
right.
he's definitely an adrenaline junkie. I mean, he's a racer, so
Yes. Yep.
that's what they thrive on. We saw that even in the beginning of the movie where he would basically play chicken going in between two vehicles,
Yep.
and his side view mirror got cracked a little bit, and he just starts laughing. I mean, he literally was Crazy Larry. He literally was Crazy Larry, and I thought he was great in the role. It was a fun role, but the bottom line, Coriander, just to get to you, they're trying to get to this walnut grove, which
Yep.
is basically this. I think he said it was like a 50-mile stretch of road where there's like, I don't even know, 15, 20, whatever, 30 exits and side roads. So there'd be no way that if you're a good driver with a fast car, it'd be almost no way that a cop could catch you, because there's so many ways you can go. And you're also hidden pretty much from aerial,
Yeah, the trees.
vehicles, because the
Yeah.
trees are so thick. So that's where they wanted to get to. And the game plan is once they got there, they'd find a way to just drive off wherever they had to go. But like you
Yep.
guys were talking about, that souped up vehicle, that young cop, he was coming after him. But before all that happened, you had that scene where they basically had hit that truck. There was just a regular civilian that was driving on another
Yeah.
road, and they hit the truck. I was like, where did that truck come from? And then you
Yeah.
have, a little bit of a moment where the three of them were kind of just dealing with it. They were getting frustrated with each other. And that's when I was talking about that scene where Mary was talking to Deke and basically saying, this isn't really about the money. And kind of to your point, Coriander, about her just being, a drifter. But what did you think was going to happen? Again, this was your first time seeing the movie. What did you think was going to happen once because they had to fix the car? Deke had to fix the car because Deke is the mechanic. I don't even think we
Yeah.
necessarily said that. Peter Fonda is the driver and Deke was his mechanic. So that's how they come hand in hand. They're buddies, and Deke was an alcoholic or still was struggling with the addiction. And Peter Fonda was a friend that kind of helped him, from the edge. But what do you think was going to happen once they were trying to repair the vehicle and we knew that the souped up cop car was coming for them in the Walnut Grove?
Man, once they hit that truck, man, that
Mm-hmm.
what was it? The driver's tire, that side, I believe it was that side. That
Yeah.
thing was wobbling, and
Yeah.
I thought that car was, once they changed the tire, I thought, well, maybe. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, yeah, if anything, this is when it really, you tested this car was in
Yes.
these with these roads. I can't even
Mm-hmm.
talk. So
Yep.
yeah, it was fast paced, and it gets your adrenaline pumping because
Yeah, it did.
it's almost like you're with these guys because
Yeah.
yeah, they're great scenes. If and like y'all said, if you love car chases, then this
Mm-hmm.
movie is totally for you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you spend a lot of time with them in the car, and it's
yeah, you
just
do.
it's just a lot of stuff going on.
Fast
Real quick,
driving.
yeah, a lot of yeah, absolutely. And real quick, Kill, before I get to you, Eric's
Mhm.
in the chat saying, "I only know this movie by name. Time to fix that."
Yes,
Yeah,
everybody who hasn't seen it, yes,
yeah,
you need to see this movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
Dan saying it's fun. Absolutely. Um, Neil saying when I was in high school, a friend of mine's dad had a '67 or '68 Camaro Z28 that he built up to
Nice.
about 1,100 horsepower, fastest car I ever drove. Nice. That's pretty
Damn.
cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
And let me just and Patrick's in the chat too. And Patrick, we don't want to talk about anything in the movie. I
No
I do some
spoilers.
no spoilers.
Yeah.
I'm gonna I
A lot
can't
of people
delete
haven't
that.
seen this,
Yeah,
so
there are a lot of people that haven't seen it, so we don't want to really say anything. Eric saying, I just looked at the cast. I love Vic Morrow. Yeah, I'll definitely be checking this out.
yeah, you have
Absolutely.
to. Yeah.
Absolutely. But
This
anyways,
is a
but Kit,
must.
it is. But Kill, let's get to like the final, act, the last third of the movie when Everett is in the copter and he's literally chasing them. I mean, I was like, what is he
The
doing? He was telling the pilot, he's like, if you have to crash this copter to stop them, that's what you're going to do. I'm like, really?
Yeah, I mean, his obsession, like he literally had that helicopter pilot tap the roof of
Yeah,
the
man.
car with the helicopter. And the
Yes.
pilot is, I feel so bad for the pilot because he's like, what do you want me to do? Like, not
Mhm.
only are we not in a vehicle on the ground, we're in a
Mhm.
helicopter that's running out of fuel. So
Yes,
what
that was the other thing too.
exactly are you expecting me to do? Oh,
Mhm.
there you go. He's like, I don't care what you do. You
Right?
better stop that vehicle.
Crazy
Yeah, I mean,
stuff, man.
at this point, as I'm watching it, I'm like, man, this is getting intense. Like,
Mhm.
how is this gonna wrap up here? So
Yeah.
yeah, man.
Well, that's what I was
Whew.
thinking too, because like literally, that copter, as it was kind of nudging the car, I was like, man, that copter could go out of control so easily. Like
Yeah,
if Larry had, bumped into it or whatever, that copter could have went out of control very easily. It's no way, as far as I know. I mean, I've never piloted a helicopter, but as far as I know, there's no way that copter could have stopped the car without literally, like Everett was saying, crashing into them. So it's like I was wondering, well, what are you guys expecting to do? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But for the movie aspect of it, it was cool to see a freaking helicopter
well,
battling a car.
if that happened today, it would be in like Fast and Furious, and like The Rock would reach out from the helicopter and physically
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right.
stop the car
Stop
like
it
with
on a
one
dime.
arm. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
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 Like, come on, man. You're not Steve
Suspend
Rogers.
disbelief. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. Um,
Oh,
Patrick was saying so many great 70s chase films. Eat My Dust was fun as well. Yeah, absolutely. There were so many of them. They pulled off some stunts in the 70s. They did, man.
yeah,
There
they
was some
did.
excellent stuff in this movie. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. DMC saying, hey, Knight and Coriander and Killian, hope Jerry's
Hello.
feeling better.
Hey.
He is. He is.
Oh, that boy.
But Coriander. Now, okay, so I want to just say this. I mean, we're almost at the end of where we're gonna stop talking about this, but with
Yeah.
this helicopter scene,
Mhm.
what did you think was gonna happen? Because I literally did almost think that they were gonna do something stupid, like try to crash into the car. Because
Yeah,
Everett was that obsessed. Look at
I
him, man.
know, right? It was a crazy scene because, like you said,
Hmm.
I'd never seen a helicopter, racing with a car, trying to
Yes,
get it off the road and make it crash. So,
yes, absolutely.
yeah, it was fun, and yeah, it was like I said, your adrenaline was pumping the last what? Well, throughout this whole movie, but especially
Right.
at the end because that's when it really picked up. So,
Yeah, I mean, this
yeah,
whole chase
it was
scene
good.
in the Walnut Grove was about at least 15 minutes, maybe 18 minutes or so, like straight through. So, and they
Yeah.
were doing some really cool stuff because one thing we didn't talk about is Everett was trying to fake out Larry by calling out the coordinates of the cops coming after him. So he was basically telling, because he knew that they were listening on the radio. So he was like, okay, units 2, 3, and 4, you go this way. Units da 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 go this way. So Larry was trying to evade ghosts, basically, because they weren't coming after him like that. So that was kind of smart on Everett's part. Like, that's another thing about this movie too. Like, they were one-upping each other, not just in verbal jabs, but how they were actually dueling with this chase. So I thought that that was a pretty cool aspect of it too. um
Mhm.
but man, they get to the point where they realize, and I'll let you say it, Kill, because Deke told them, said, man, this cop, he's stroking you, man. Nobody's coming after us. Do you see anyone? You remember that scene?
Once
So,
again, like Deke was my boy. For some reason, he was my
yes,
favorite character.
he was, man. He was. Seriously, he was awesome. Adam Rourke was great in this, man. But anyways, the movie was great. They're driving. They figure out that the cops are just fooling them. And so they know that they can get away because they're in the Walnut Grove and they can get to any exit. So that's pretty much where we're going to leave it off. But for you guys who have not seen this movie, check it
Yeah.
out. It is that
Yeah.
good. Don't read up anything on it. Don't look up
Yeah. No,
anything
no,
on it.
no. Yeah, yeah.
Just watch it. Just watch
Yeah.
it, watch
And
it,
let
watch
us
it.
know in the comments, seriously, what you thought. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Patrick saying, what? Jerry wasn't feeling good.
No,
He's
no,
fine.
he's good.
Jeez.
He's good.
He- all
He was
right.
never ill.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, but yeah, for you guys in the live chat, let us know if you've seen this movie. what you thought of it without any spoilers. Please give the video a like. That would help support the channel, and we'd much appreciate it. And guys, this is definitely a high recommendation, I would assume, for you guys as well,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Definitely.
I mean, these movies are really, really awesome. These 70s movies that we've been jumping into. It's been really, really fun. And I think the next movie, although we haven't chosen it yet, we've got a list, but I think we're going to kind of stay in this lane, no pun intended, because these movies are really awesome, man.
Mm,
Like
they
I'm
are.
really I'm really enjoying them, and not a lot of people, talk about these movies. They're from a bygone past, and
Mm-hmm.
it's fun to kind of like bring some light to them because I enjoyed watching this. I really did. This is a movie I I'd buy this movie. That's how much I liked it.
Yes.
It was
Yep.
it was that good. It really was.
Yep.
But anyways, um, let's see. Dan, as we head on out, Dan was saying the more you learned about Deke, the more you like him. I agree. I
Mm-hmm.
agree. Yeah, no doubt about it. Patrick saying just watch it. Absolutely. Yep. No joke. No joke at all. All right, guys. So we will be catching you guys later. Thanks for hanging out with us. Um, like the video, leave a comment. You guys know the drill. We'll catch you later. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace out, guys.
Up
Peace.
touch.